The captain is here. The captain is here.
You are Locked On Huskers, your daily podcast on the Nebraska Cornhuskers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey gang, GP here, 93.7 The Ticket in Lincoln, America. Thank you for making Locked On Huskers your first watch, listen each and every single day. Greatly appreciate you. This episode of Locked On Huskers brought to you by the folks from LinkedIn. And as a small business owner, you know that success in 2023 is all about having the right people surround you. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs, you can hire qualified candidates more effectively, more efficiently by matching opening roles with the correct people. Exact skills, values, experience to help you achieve your goals. What I need for you to do, go to LinkedIn Jobs / Locked On College. So lincoln.com/jobs, Locked On College. That's the code that'll get you in. Terms and conditions apply. I gave you a little preview, and I kind of let you know what was coming. As we go through these episodes and we lead up to the season, we're going to people who have insight and information and skin in the game when it comes to Nebraska football. Now, I'd like to take this moment and bring him back. Let's welcome the captain himself, three-time national champion Vershan Jackson. VJ, what's happening, brother?
What up, man? Glad you had me again, man. I'm back in the building again. XFL shirt. My dad got me like that.
Nice. You did well.
Yeah.
It is an interesting phase. So I'll ask you to start. What's the thing that you miss most about Nebraska football? What's the thing that you want to see return immediately to Nebraska football?
I think power running game. That would be my first thing, is the power running game. Seeing guys, everybody in the stadium knows it's going to be a run, and you still not being able to stop it. That's the power running game that I'm talking about. If you got to get a yard, we don't even talk about that. We know on 4th and 1, I don't care where we are on the field, unless we're inside R25, we're going for it. So power running game, running backs that can run the ball more than 25 times a game, and offensive linemen that can drive block, and then when they need to pass block, they can pass block. But run game for me is Nebraska football. That's blue-collar football.
When you talk about that, then the very next question should be, can Matt Rhule and the way that he and Marcus Satterfield are putting this roster together achieve and accomplish that very thing you talked about?
I mean, they can. I mean, if you coach your players up, if you coach them up to know what they're doing, to go 150 miles an hour while they're doing it and not make mistakes, it's possible, it's capable. But if the development is not there, if the coaching is not there, if you're not able to get guys to go above and beyond the call of duty, it's going to be a long season. I hope that everything that we're doing will equal into wins.
You speak of this program in the we. You speak of it in we, and I know that you also live that. You walk, your steps are that you live, breathe Nebraska football. When it comes to former members of the program or alumni of the program, what should be the engagement level?
The engagement should be open. It should be, we should have access to go back to our alma mater and have access to talking to these younger guys, within the constraints of the walls of Memorial Stadium. How about I say it like that? Mm-hmm. I'm not saying we need to hang with these guys outside of the stadium, but inside the stadium where all of us, when I'm saying us, that mysterious 90s group that seems not to have happened, that happened, when those guys come back in the building, it should be there with an open arms. It shouldn't be, oh, here they come, lock the doors, put the chains on them. It shouldn't be no Bill Clark. What's his name, Joe Clark?
Yeah.
Shouldn't be no Joe Clark. It should be, hey, these guys got something to say. They got a story to tell. They got something to give these young bucks, that maybe these young bucks will fall in the line and understand what Nebraska football is all about. So I think it should be more of an open door policy. Now, with that open door policy, I don't mean where just any Joe Schmo, Blow, Jimmy Jam who play football for Nebraska can walk in anytime they get ready. But I think that there should be something that is a Rolodex to where we got to come in, show our ID, right? They got our email address. They've got our address. They've got our phone number. They know exactly who we are. So when we come in, we got a little card that says 93.7 the ticket, alumni. Here you go. I show them my card. I'm welcome to go where I want to go to, as long as I'm doing what I want to do. Now, if you mess up, then it costs you your card. But so many players to not feel that love from our alma mater, it does make it hard to say we for some guys.
You hit several points, and over the course of this episode, I want to get into the very space that we're in, but I also want to talk about the roster as it exists, and then talk about the legend. Let's talk about Coach Osborne. But the current temperature of the room is based on the thermometer that is Matt Rhule. Mm-hmm. And what happens with new coaches is that they want to gain control of the atmosphere and the environment. They need to get control of the vacuum. So trust is the word that is thrown about. Okay, he wants to be able to trust the former Huskers to let him lead and not overstep or oversee. For you, what message would you want to be able to give to today's Husker football player?
Oh, just understand the Husker power. I mean, a lot of kids don't understand. Nobody gonna really understand Husker power unless you get it from a Husker that understood Husker power. And if you played in the last 15 years, you don't know Husker power. Okay, Husker power is the ability to go 150 miles an hour after you get tired, not before you get tired. So most of the times we get tired in a football game in the what? Fourth quarter, right? Second half of the game, a long 11, 12, 15 play drive. At the end of that, you got your head, you're tapping your helmet, and if you got a coach like Coach Brown who's going to turn his back on you, you got to suck it up. And so I think understanding Husker power, understanding the ability to play football at a high level and not make mistakes, but to run through a brick wall is what I would tell the guys. Nothing more and nothing less than play for the guys that's next to you, to the right, to the left of you. If you didn't leave it all on the football field, then you're selling yourself short, you're selling your family short, and you're selling this university short.
I think you can add to that today's player is selling the alumni short.
Absolutely.
The people who have played, the people whose names are up in that building, the people who put plaques and banners up in that building, who put flags in that building, who quite frankly have more value in the market because of what they've achieved versus what their potential is. But we're not writing off potential. We're trying to enhance it. And that's the big part of it. We'll throw it to break here and come back more with the captain, Vershan Jackson, here on Locked On Huskers. DP here, Locked On Huskers. We want to thank the folks. Thank you all for making Locked On Huskers your first listen, first watch every single day. Your second listen should be Locked On College Basketball. Isaac Shade, Andy Patton take you through on the court and off, all the way through getting you prepared for March Madness and knowing all the things you need to know to support your team as you do. Please, you'll get big name experts, coaches, players, as we're doing today. Locked On College Basketball available on YouTube or however you get your podcast. Also, from this space, I want to lay this down. We just got through the holidays, and I know a big goal is to eat a little healthier. So the folks from Built Bar are trying to help out. And I tell you got to try Built Bar. With Built, healthy is actually tasty. It's actually good. So delicious, you won't think they're good for you. Perfect for your New Year's resolution and whatever you're trying to do better for you, that's Built Bar. If you would, the captain, three-time national champion Vershan Jackson is with us, and we're talking about the connection and the bridge. I always say, I use the word bridge, and people sometimes miss what I mean. The bridge requires where you are and where you're trying to go, and a purposeful commitment to get from one end of the bridge to the end. And you have to go through some things. Sometimes that bridge is high arcing. Sometimes it's flat. Sometimes there's traffic. But for the Nebraska football program to get where it thinks it should be, we need to decide where Nebraska football should be. So, VJ, I'm going to ask you, in an ideal world in year one, what's the expectation and then the reality of what should be we could expect. What should be the standard for Nebraska football? Is it 6 wins, 9 wins? Is it Big Ten championship?
Well, the standard should be undefeated. I mean, you should, every time you go into a season, you should be thinking about national championship game. Whether that's stopping at the Big Ten, that's fine. Winning the Big Ten North or West or whatever, which side it is, that's fine as well. But it should be to win every single game, not to just go out and compete. Oh, we're going to win 6 games. That's a loser mentality. Oh, we're only going to win 7 games. That's a loser mentality. I look back and I say, are we setting ourselves up when you think about, okay, so give me 3 years and then talk to me? No, it shouldn't be that. It should be today is the day, fellas, that we change the trajectory of Nebraska football, not because we're saying we're going to win 7 games, but because we're saying in our minds we're going to win them all. So I think the mentality is a little twisted. I think it's this whole, you get a medal, you get a medal, you get a ribbon, you get a star. You got 10th place, you still get a medal. It's time out, I think, for the feel-good football in Nebraska football. And it's time in for the put up or shut up, one of the two, because the money is up. You got everything you need to be able to be successful. So now it's up to the coaches to put the best product out on the field.
In a day and an era where long contracts are now the norm, this was an 8-year deal. Is the 8-year deal in your mind for Coach Rhule or for the program? Who benefits in this being an 8-year deal?
I will tell you, definitely Coach Rhule. In a perfect world, we both benefit because you want a coach that's going to be around for the next 15, 20. 8 ain't enough. Mm-hmm. If after 8 years, we go to 1 Big Ten championship game, and then he leaves for Penn State. You tell me what good did that just make? What did we just do? What did we just get out of this deal? Nothing. But to go 8 years for a coach and to get the guaranteed money for him and his family, it's amazing. He hasn't. All he can do is come here and go to work. Because I give you how many ever millions, why ain't nothing else to do? You're in Nebraska. You just had a coaching job over here where you were making an astronomical amount of money. Now you leave from that situation, you go to this situation, and you're making more money than you were making over there, even though you lost. To me, when you lose like that and you still, to this day, I can never understand why I would ever give a guy a promotion who's failing me. You did an F job, but I tell you what, I'm gonna give you an A promotion for an F job. And I'm not saying pros and colleges are 2 different things. I get it, but still, where have we seen this picture before? Where have we seen this play before? We've seen this movie. In Callahan, we saw this movie. The only difference was Callahan actually was a part of a winning program. Okay,
big difference between 9 wins and 4.
I think so. I think the mentality has to be different. I think they have to be coaching them boys not to lose at all, because I don't know what it means for a guy like me. You should see the faces I get when they say, "Well, how many games did you lose at Memorial Stadium?" And I say none. Nobody believes that. Zero. None. I don't know what it feels like to walk off that football field as a loser.
Do you understand? I want to circle that moment, right? I want to circle that moment that the reality is there's a way for Nebraska football to not lose home games at Memorial Stadium. Like, we know that there's an actual way for this to happen. And the problem is when you decide to say that I'm not going to acknowledge the history because I'm not doing the work in the present. And that's problematic. It's problematic. I'll ask you this before we go to break. This is interesting to me because you mentioned the run game, and we see all the run the damn ball in Nebraska shirts. So we understand what it is. And then the first move that people make is to fullback. Can you run the ball in the Big Ten without a fullback? Or is this more? Is it more important for you to improve the offensive line as a whole? What's priority one to get the running game where it's supposed to be?
I think improving the offensive line. But you can kind of put that as 1A, and you can put scheme as 1B. The fullback is going to if you get a great fullback, you can make your run game probably 40% better. Just because a fullback is that guy that's going to look up the toughest linebacker they got, and he's going to have a war with him.
Yeah.
But offensively, if your guys up front it don't matter what that fullback going to do. If those guys in front ain't taking care of the front guys, fullback is not. It's just obsolete. It doesn't matter. But I do think putting a fullback in front of a tailback gives a running back a better opportunity to see holes, to see the play develop, so that he can hit the right holes, because he's got that extra blocker in there that if he goes up the field, he can cut it back. If he hooks him, he can get around it. He just got different opportunities and different options.
I think it's important just to have those discussions all the way up until April 22nd for spring game, where we get the first real look. And again, for all the social media clips that you're going to see between now and April 22nd, they don't tell you much. What you actually going to see on April 22nd really isn't going to tell you much. It's the work that's done after April 22nd, the change in roster, the actually going to camp and learning that stuff. It's going to be an interesting ride. And again, with new coaches, an entirely new staff, and a different roster. We don't quite know what to expect or what the expectation should be. We'll throw it a break. But the folks from Built Bar, head to your nearest Walmart today, walk in the pharmacy section, and grab yourself a box of Built Bars. You can pick a 4-box, cookies and cream, double chocolate, coconut puffs. If you're close to Sam's Club, run in, grab 13 bar box, and hit with the flavors, brownie batter and churro. You can thank me later. All that's Built Bar. Healthy, but tastes great. We will close out Locked On Huskers. More conversation with the 3-time national champion, Vershan Jackson. We're going to talk about the legend himself, Coach Tom Osborne. Welcome back, DP with VJ. Oh, my goodness gracious. Thank you for making Locked On Huskers your first watch, first listen. We appreciate you hanging out with us and going through the first of many, or the second of many episodes, because I do want I want the influence of Husker alumni on this podcast. To have them be heard. It's one thing for me to give you from my heart and my passion and what I see from my vantage, but from inside with skin in the game, there are Huskers that have lots to say, and I want to give them a chance to say it here on Locked On Huskers. VJ, you and I have several conversations about the greatest coach to ever live, right? That there's the man. The coaching side of it is its own level of excellence. But I want to talk about the man that is Tom Osborne. So I'll ask you, what's your favorite thing? When I ask you about your favorite memory of Coach Osborne, what would it be? Yeah, and I knew I would get that smile. I knew I would get that smile. That was what I was looking for. That's what I was hoping for.
I would tell you my favorite moments with Coach Osborne is after I either was a part of something that I shouldn't have been a part of,
right,
or I was a part of something that I shouldn't have been a part of.
Right.
But I was there.
Right.
It's guilty by association.
Right.
And just Coach Osborne's ability to get to the truth. Most of the times I steal this all the time. Most of the time he already knew the answer to what he was asking you. He was looking to see whether you was going to lie or not.
Right.
Or you're going to tell the truth, because I already know the answer. But let's see what type of character you got. This took place over at that person's house. Were you there? Yes. Okay, now that we've established that. Why were you there? I don't know. I was there with a lot of us. Mm-hmm. But his ability to get to the root of the cause, the root of what happened, and then once he figures out the root, him never, ever not dropping the axe. In some way, shape, fashion, or form, Coach Osborne dropped the axe. Everybody's just, Coach Osborne's, oh, he's such a great guy. He doesn't cuss. He doesn't, listen, man, you don't want to cross Coach Osborne. That's not the guy to cross. To this day, that's not the guy to cross. I couldn't imagine getting that phone call. Hello? Vershan? This is Mary Lynn. Hey, Mary Lynn. Coach Osborne wants to see you at 9 o'clock. I mean, listen, that's the worst call you want because you know 9 times out of 10 it's not for something that you did good. Because he would just wait till you got there. But he calling you, wake you up out of your sleep. And there's no, you know how many things run through your mind because you're thinking of everything you just did over the course of the last 3 days. And then it's, did I mess up? And then it's, I might as well just tell the truth because he knows. He knows.
That's and major, man.
Man, you got to take your hat off to someone who was able to do that with 250 guys or 160-something guys. He knew their first names. He knew their moms. He knew their dads. I asked Coach Osborne one day, I had an opportunity. I said, Coach, how was it that you knew all these different – how does all 160 players feel the same way about you? I ain't talking about just scholarship players. Mm-hmm. We're talking walk-on from top to bottom. We all, for the most part, feel the same way about Coach Osborne. And he said to me, he said consistency. So the fact that he was consistent, he tried to do anything he could in his power for us legally. If we needed something to this day, I can call Coach Osborne and he's going to answer the phone for me. And I could just be like, Coach, I ain't want nothing. I just want to hear your voice. And he'd be like, oh, that's nice of you, Vershan. What are you doing over there? I told him I wanted to go fishing with him. Because you know what I'm saying? We all know that he's a big fisher, right? Fisherman. But to actually go with the legend, he's getting up there in age, see how he does things. I say this, and I say this to all of my guys that play for Coach Osborne, even the people that didn't play but that know him. When a grandfather dies, a library burns down. And we do not understand the library that's in his head that's going to burn down when he checks out of here. So I warn everybody, take the time out to talk to the legend, why he still has his wits, why he can give you any answer that you ask him.
That is a gospel, and that is the key to a process and a project that's coming because we need to get that done. We will have that conversation. And I want to thank you, Vershan, for your time today. And we'll do it again next week. I want to thank you for making Locked On Huskers your first watch, first listen each and every single day. For your second listen, make it Locked On College Basketball. Isaac Shane, Andy Patton take you through everything, all the hoops you need on the court and off. The best, the big name experts, best players, coaches, etc. Locked On College Basketball, YouTube, or whatever way you consume your podcast. We close this podcast with those 3 words that we love so much. VJ, let's get them. Go